What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we've got some cards from the Grand Star Alliance, one of the new Keyforge houses that we need to have a look at. Now, we've already seen Commander Chan and First Officer Frayne, but that doesn't mean we don't have like 17 other cards we need to look at. So we're going to have to go slightly quicker than we usually would. We're going to have to deal with a few more cards in this video than we usually would, and we're still going to have to split it into a couple of videos. We've also seen Captain Val Jericho. Obviously, she's the leader and such. So, let's start off having a look at a couple of cards, which are creatures that can be played as upgrades. Yeah, that's the hook of this video. Starting off, we've got Calvin, or CALV-1N if you'd prefer. A 2-power, 1-armor robot, who's cute as you like. When you fight or reap, you draw a card. Now that actually makes it a weaker but better Doc Bookton. Doc Bookton from Logos, when you reap, you draw a card. And indeed, we got Quixxle the Adventurer, who when you fight, you draw a card. Though Quixxle does have skirmish, so will survive any fight, Calvin does not. But if you don't feel like reaping or fighting and drawing a card, you may play it as an upgrade instead of a creature, with the text, this creature gains fight or reap, draw a card. So if you don't want Calvin to have Calvin's skill, you can put Calvin on as an upgrade, and another creature gets Calvin's skill. Now, clearly, you have to put this under the card, whereas you generally put an upgrade on top of the card. Things are going to get a little bit messy in terms of board state, but this is really good. Because, okay, maybe reaping, drawing a card with Doc Bookton as a 5-power is better, but maybe you whack this on Lollop the Titanic. And now all of a sudden you've got an 11-power creature that draws a card when you reap. And the great thing here is you can put this into other houses. Brobnar don't have great draw power like that, but thanks to Calvin, they now can. We're also getting Explo-Rover, which again is a creature even though it's a car. 3 power, 0 armor, and skirmish. So, you know, it's no Quixxle the Adventurer, who's 3 power, 0 armor, skirmish, and you draw a card when you fight. But what Explo-Rover has going for it is it may be played as an upgrade instead of a creature with the text, this creature gains skirmish. Yeah, it seems like the theme very much is that if a creature can be an upgrade as well, and yes, I know they've given the car a face, that you essentially give the creature to whom the upgrade is attached the skill the creature would have had it not been an upgrade. Cool. And look, giving people skirmish is really, really good. One of my first thoughts here, and if you watched a bunch of my videos, you're probably not too surprised about this, is Into the Fray. Into the Fray, for the remainder of the turn, a friendly Brobnar creature gains fight readiness creature. So if you've got skirmish, you fight, you're guaranteed to survive, you fight, you're guaranteed to survive, and either the rule of 6 kicks in, or you destroy all of your opponent's creatures, and then you ready, reap, and that's the end of it. You need to be able to give a creature skirmish to really make the most of Into the Fray, and Explo-Rover will absolutely make the most of Into the Fray. No, we don't know if Into the Fray is going to be in Worlds Collide, although it could still be a legacy card, even if it's not in the set proper. I like this. There are plenty of creatures that have really good fight skills, but unfortunately, yeah, they don't always last long enough. I mean, let's give one more example. Let's look at Overlord Grekking. Overlord Grekking, after an enemy creature is destroyed fighting Overlord Grekking, put that creature into play under your control. It's a 7-power creature, so give him skirmish and then take over all of your opponent's creatures. Sounds like fun. Now, I should mention, the cards we've looked at so far were shown by the lovely Brad Minig over on Twitter. Sorry about the pronunciation. And it was Facebook, not Twitter. As is this next card, Com Officer Kirby. Com Officer Kirby is a 3-power, 0 armor creature. And when you play, or fight, or reap, You may play a non-Star Alliance artifact, upgrade, or action card this turn. It's house cheating. Now, we need to look at the language very carefully here. Artifact, check. Upgrade, check. Action, check. You cannot play a non-Star Alliance creature. It's got to be an action, upgrade, or artifact. In that way, it makes it a worse helper bot, a worse phase shift. But it's when you play, then when you fight, then when you reap. Now that's a whole heap better. Because Helperbot is just when you play it, and then it just kind of sits there. This is when you play, then when you fight, then when you reap. There are going to be people that get 2 or 3 Comm Officer Kirby in a deck, and those people are going to have a heck of a deck. Because you're going to be able to play 2 or 3 extra cards during your turn. And that means that you're going to be able to empty out your hand so that you draw more cards at the end of your turn. It's only 3 power, it doesn't have elusive, and you cannot house cheat in a creature, only an action, upgrade, or artifact. But make no mistake about it, this is a phenomenal card that people are very much going to be looking for. House cheating is good. Now, we've also had a card shown by Ludovic Orban over on Facebook, and it is Armsmaster Molina. May or may not be Alfred Molina, I've not been able to confirm. A 4 power, 0 armor creature with Hazardous Free. Hazardous Free, before the creature is attacked, you deal 3 damage to the attacking enemy. So it's on your opponent's turn. When they start the fight, they have to take 3 damage before the fight happens. So somebody like Comm Officer Kirby, who's only a 3 power creature, would try and attack Armsmaster Molina and be destroyed before the fight even happened. I mean, to be fair, right, he is the Armsmaster. You'd assume he'd be fairly difficult to take down. But what's also awesome here is that each of its neighbours gain Hazardous Free. So what you really want to do is put this down next to what we call a Burn the Witch card. Something like Ember Imp or Witch of the Eye. Cards that are so good, you have to get them off the field. Dusk Witch from Age of Ascension would be another great example here. Cards which are so good, you have to take them out. Dusk Witch means all your creatures come into play ready. Ember Imp restricts your opponent to playing 2 cards per turn. Witch of the Eye gets any card back from your discard when you reap. These are cards you've got to take out. So you put Armsmaster Molina down next to them, and then all of a sudden your opponent can take them out, but they've got to take 3 damage beforehand. That's pretty great. I like this card. It's only 4 power. It's going to be taken out easily enough, but not before you've got some damage down on the field. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the big difference. Protecting your neighbours as well, yes. So Light of the Archons then. Another card revealed by Brad. Light of the Archons is an upgrade that gives you an amber bonus. Not all of them, but a lot of upgrades do give you an amber bonus. The creatures that give you upgrades do not, at least at the moment. Boo, hiss, etc. This creature gains +1 power and +1 armor for each upgrade attached to it. See where we're going with this? Now, it says each upgrade, not each other upgrade, so just putting Light of the Archons on will give +1 power, +1 armor. But this is where cards like Calvin and Explo-Rover really come in nicely. Now all of a sudden you've got extra upgrades in your deck. Most decks don't have that many upgrades. But now you've got creatures that can act as upgrades, and I'm assuming there'll be 1 or 2 more. I could be wrong, but I'm assuming there will be. So now you've potentially got extra upgrades, so you can absolutely beef up a creature massively. I wonder if Might Makes Right is going to be in Worlds Collide. If it's not, it can still appear as a legacy, but then the chance of it being a legacy in a Star Alliance deck with multiple Light of the Archons is much lower. But Might Makes Right lets you sacrifice any number of creatures with a total power of 25 or more, and then forge a key at no cost. This is going to really help with that. Even if you don't, you've still got potentially a super powerful creature that can sit there taking out other creatures, or that can sit there reaping and pretty much be immune to whatever your opponent's throwing at you, you can beef up nicely, but a combo with something like Might Makes Right would be amazing here. How about Lieutenant KhrKhar? I don't know how it's actually pronounced, but I'm pronouncing it Lieutenant KhrKhar. I'm not going to say it much, though, because it'll get super annoying. The Lieutenant here, it's a fun one. We've got a 5-power creature, which is more than average. With taunts, you cannot attack his neighbours. You have to attack him. And he's got Hazardous Free. So we just look at Hazardous Free with Armsmaster Molina. Here, we've again got Hazardous Free, but we've also got Taunt. So whereas a lot of the time with a hazardous creature, your opponent would go, you know what? Let's leave it for now. Let's just go after his neighbours. We'll deal with him later. Maybe we can draw into, I don't know, something like a Life for a Life that allows you to deal damage to a creature without attacking, so we can take it out without having to take the hazardous damage. No! Because now your neighbours cannot be attacked because of your taunt, so now your opponent has to go after the Lieutenant, and that is going to be very, very fun indeed. Apparently, there's going to be some hazardous in the Star Alliance. I mean, we've seen around 20 cards so far. 2 of them have got hazardous. Seems like a bit of a pattern to me. Or maybe they're the only ones. Tachyon Pulse is a fun little action. You get yourself an Amber bonus, and when you play it, you destroy each artifact, and you exhaust each creature with an upgrade. And it is each creature, not each enemy creature. So this is a fun one. It is artifact hate and upgrade hate. Remember, at the end of your turn, you unexhaust all of your creatures already, if you want to use a correct term. So that means that you can exhaust your opponent's creatures, and then it goes into their turn, and their creatures are still exhausted, and they got to wait till the end of their turn in order to get them up again. Think like Nocturnal Maneuvers from Untamed. Now this is very much a double-edged sword, right? Because you might have lots of artifacts you don't want to destroy. Now in terms of exhausting creatures, you should never really be worried, because you ready them at the end of your turn. Just make sure you play Tachyon Pulse after all the cards that you wanted to use, and you'll be fine. You'll just ready them at the end of your turn. The exhausting creatures shouldn't be an issue for you. Just play this as your last card, or thereabouts. Treat it kind of like an Omega card, though not quite. But destroying artifacts could be very, very bad indeed, so got to be a bit careful with Tachyon Pulse. Remember, if you want the Amber bonus, you've got to play the card. If you play the card, you've got to destroy the artifacts. It's not optional. So if you've got artifacts you cannot part with, you don't even get the Amber bonus. But it's artifact hate, and some decks really rely on artifacts. You can exhaust your opponent's creatures. This is going to see some love. And we need to finish off taking a look at one where, let's say we haven't seen a particularly clear view of it, but come on, new cards. If we've got any chance of seeing it, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a gander. Quixxle Stone. Now, Quixxle Stone, and like I say, we've not got this was actually just shown in a case. But Quixxle Stone is an artifact, and it gives you an Amber bonus when you play it. If a player has more creatures in play than their opponent, they cannot play creatures. Tell me that doesn't sound amazing. That sounds so good. I really like this, ladies and gentlemen. This seems really, really fun. I mean, it's a creature version of Heart of the Forest. Heart of the Forest stops you forging a key if you've got more keys forged than your opponent. It is a way of evening the game out. So of course, this will be great if you're behind in the game, and terrible if you're ahead in the game. If your opponent's got a huge battle line full of creatures and you don't, you play this, and your opponent cannot play any more creatures. That's no coming into play abilities, no extra creatures for reaping or any of that rubbish. That's good. But then if you play this and then you get rid of a couple of your opponent's creatures, and then you've got 3 down and they've got 2, Now you can wait until your opponent plays a couple more creatures, but it basically means, like Heart of the Forest and Forging Keys, you're essentially taking it in turns. So if you've got 4 creatures down and your opponent's got 2, you can't play any creatures. As soon as your opponent's got 4, you're allowed to play a 5th, but then you've got more and you've got to stop. So your opponent can play a 5th and then play a 6th, but now they've got more, they got to stop, and so on and so forth. Stops you playing creatures. This is gonna cause some awkwardness. Just like Heart of the Forest. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, there's the first half of the Grand Star Alliance cards that we've been shown so far. I will, of course, show you some more very, very shortly indeed. So tell me what you think about the ones that I've shown you in this video. Go nuts, be nice, and then make sure you like this video, subscribe so you can get all the future videos with new Keyforge cards, and follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where we talk about Keyforge and any other game that takes my fancy. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.